I got you down as an actor. What is what is that? I put that on
That
your
is
resume. What is
bold statement. I've done a few commercials or sketches with Beyond the Summit actually,
that?
and I think it's mostly because I pretty face and no one else really wanted to do the job, and so that's really where the acting has come through. And I've done a couple commercials outside of them as well, but never a like a SAG acting guild thing. If anything, the only way I know how to act is acting for like a sketch comedy club.
Oh yeah, and tell me about you. You actually went and did the impromptu or comedy club in
Yeah.
college. Was that what made you go do that? Because that's pretty cool. I know that's not it takes got some balls to go up there, and it's kind of awkward, and you don't know what's going to happen. And it's just always I respect people that go and do that. So that's pretty cool. How was that experience?
Well, I wanted to do a cappella and I didn't get into a club. And then I wanted to do comedy and I didn't get into a club. And then this random guy named Forbes is making his own and I joined it. And it actually turned out to be pretty successful.
And so is that something when's the last time you've done that? Like do you like was
Zero.
that
Zero. I haven't done it since. But that's the thing. I mean, that's what I think streaming is. I think it's a very similar outlet in a lot of ways.
And you also were in a school play, Legally Blonde. You played Warner, is that correct?
Yeah, I did play Warner in Legally Blonde. Look, I love the stage. I love the stage. I crushed it. And it was definitely weird for me because my group of friends were much more the sporty type.
Right.
So, for me to go the choir route, especially late in high school, like junior year, was weird. But after seeing it, everyone kind of liked it. And the reception was pretty warm.
That's cool. I've that sounds like I never did the school play stuff, but again, like you said, it's not necessarily the jock approved path. So like if you kind of dip in there and have fun and make it cool, that's good.
I did it, and all of my jock friends were like, "Damn, I want to do a musical now." And I went with $100, Jeff. And I thought I need more money to play poker, so I'm going to play blackjack because I've been winning in blackjack. I've just turned 21 here, and I was like, I'll just win in blackjack and then play poker. And then miraculously, I won like 300 in blackjack, and I went to play poker. Bought in. It was like a weird 1-3 limit table. And I didn't really know the etiquette live because I'd only really played a bit online. Right. And so I'm in it and it's limit. And so I'm just folding, and I get jacks. And I'm feeling good.
Right.
I'm
like
solid. And so I put out max and it's only like I think like $8. And then after the flop, it's like 24, something like that. 32. And it ends up being me and another guy after the flop. And we're max betting. He's calling. I think jacks are the highest cards on the table. There's nothing above. And the dealer points to me after the river. And I flip over my jacks. And then he says, "No, it was your turn to bet." And I'm like, oh. So I pull it back. And then I just check the weakest check of all time. This guy just shoves in max bet 32. And by all accounts, this should be a call based off of how much I'm pot committed, yada, yada, yada. It's already a good hand, but I fold. I'm like, he saw what I had. This guy would not bet.
He took you to the next level and bet because he thought you knew. How could he bet when he knows what I have?
Jeff, he flipped over his hand. He had jack shit.
No, you had jacks full or top. You had good jacks.
I had an overpair. Yeah, I had a pocket pair that was higher than anything on the board. He had literally nothing, and I lost. And I very respectfully let the blinds come around 2 more times and then left the table.
What would you be doing if you weren't streaming on Twitch? What do you think you'd be doing in the world? I
wanted to be a late night talk show host. That was my goal going into college. So I think it's pretty close.
It's more so. I mean, if you look at the numbers and stuff, like I wonder what Tonight shows and I don't even know. Honestly, I don't watch TV really. So like Conan or whatever it is, like I don't know the numbers anymore. It's currents and stuff. It's pretty crazy. It's gotta be.
Oh, well, they get a couple mil for sure. So I think I got a ways to go, but they definitely don't have my sub count because they don't have subs on NBC, but we'll take that. We'll take what we can.
And what's your poker understanding background? I think you took down a tournament somewhere. Can you tell me a little bit about that and what your poker experience is?
Yeah, I would say it's a little cheating because it's the tournament I took down was a sponsored one with ACR with only streamers who mostly were pretty inept. And I've taken it down a few times actually because of that. But I've been playing poker since college, and I watched it. I think when it was probably like the golden era of poker on Twitch. You know, I watched Ustream then. Jay Carver did. Kevin Martin. I used to watch Kevin a bunch. Back when they had the house together in Canada with Calgary, wherever it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's when I super was into it, and then I was watching those streams every night. That was like the first thing I really watched on Twitch, and it was because I was actually, I don't gotta get in the weeds of it, but I was like running an illegal online poker group. But you know that was back in the day, Jeff. You know, statute of limitations.
We can edit
We're
that.
fine now. We'll let it out. We'll let it in post.
It doesn't matter. It was, you know, maybe illegal is a strong word. Maybe it was a gray area. Gray area.
The rake was for the people at the end of the day.
What is your poker experience? Like, have you know, like what have you done any actual work on your game?
Yeah, I've done a good amount, but not since I was in college. I think that most of my knowledge comes from watching and absorbing poker content. I never had like a structured coach or anything, but I've definitely improved since I started. You know, when I started in that poker group online, I went down 2,000 really fast. And then since then I went up like maybe like 15,000 in that group. And that's like what really taught me. And yeah, you know, I think it was great. That group of guys, Jamie, Matt, Kevin, in Canada, they started such small stakes there.
Yeah.
That it was like it's fun to watch Jay Carver drop 10K, but I don't think I learned much when he plays, you know, whatever 7-card Omaha stud.
He's doing mixed games.
Yeah.
And, you know, I respect his way of, you know, he's a good buddy of mine. He did the running up Renos, and obviously COVID happened, and like the meetup, it was kind of like where everyone on Twitch and poker would come meet up, and he's like goes with a really focused stream with like one table. He hits the Twitch chat really well, one table. You know, I like to play a lot of tables. A lot of these guys play a lot of tables. I find it's a little hard to follow too if you're watching poker and you're playing like 4, 6 tables. It can
be for sure.
It's a bit overwhelming.
I watched so much Kevin though, because he was such small stakes and he had such an emphasis on improving. That I was like, yeah, that's what I want to do too. And so, you know, I've learned a good amount. I think that I can take down most games with casuals. I feel pretty good about my odds. Most of the time, I feel like I have an upper hand.
Right.
My goal has always been to be, I think, at least in the back of my head, the largest or one of the biggest streamers. And that bar is rising so fast, faster than I can grow. Because back when I started, it was where I am now. So, you know, I should have been done, but now there's 16-year-old kids with 200,000 viewers, and that's tough to beat. I'll tell you what, that is tough to beat. So at this point, I'm just kind of doing my thing. And eventually I think I'll switch off of Twitch and YouTube, which are very, you know, short term, I think, forms of media that don't have a lot of longevity to them, and maybe switch over to a more conventional one.
But is it something that, like, would you be interested in? What's your passion in terms of sports, or would you want to broadcast or be do something on ESPN, or do you kind of look at it like that, or you just kind of like you're enjoying, you love the Twitch interaction, the live sort of feel and vibe, and you're kind of going with that right now? Or is there something
I don't have a 5-year plan. I mean, I guess I do, but I'm still on it, I guess. I made a 5-year plan 3 years ago, and it was to stream for 5 years. So I'm just doing that. I haven't thought about what after. And I think, I haven't even put a thought into that. I'll have to do something surely, because life will have to go on, but I don't know what it'll be yet.
And I mentioned mental health earlier, and unfortunately, like Reckful, you know, he had suicide, passed away.
God bless.
Yeah. God bless him. I met him at an event before, and it was nice. It seemed like a really nice guy. And you hear about this with Twitch, and people get burnt out and people get overwhelmed. And, you know, streaming is a unique thing, because you're basically talking to a camera. Yeah, there's people engaging or whatever, but you're basically kind of alone, and for periods of time where you're just talking to the computer, if you will. So how do you sort of find yourself to not burn out? And also when you're streaming, it's like, all right, you know, you're going to click live and have, you know, 15, 20, 30,000 people watching you. It's kind of, you know, it's it's electric, it's endorphins, but you kind of worry, like, you have trouble. And COVID's been bizarre too. So that's like, now it's a kind of different time in the world, but, you know, like, let's say when things get back to normal, you know, do you find it hard to think about, oh, I'm going to go on vacation with my girlfriend or go to visit my parents or go on a trip for 2 weeks? Like, it's kind of hard to disconnect, I would say. And at least from my experience and others that I talk to, because you kind of know that you have to be consistent. You have a nice thing going. So do you feel almost like trapped in a way, or how do you kind of like find time to disconnect?
I mean, I feel fine about it now. I think that it's definitely something that people are concerned about, and I was, but every time I see people taking breaks, they usually come back a little bigger. So, you know,
Yeah.
as long as you're doing something on, like, if you take a 2-week break on Twitch, it's fine, but you should probably be uploading YouTube videos that you've set up for that 2-week break.
Yeah.
That way there's not nothing and you're not disappeared off the planet. And even if you are disappeared off the planet, usually you can come back from that too. So,
Right.
I don't see it as a big problem. The biggest YouTuber in the world, PewDiePie, takes a month break every year and doesn't really hurt his status. So, yeah, I don't think it's a big deal as long as you have something big for when you come back.